a bug zapper, and one day in, the moths are meeting their demise. We don't have very many bats around here, so we I don't know, we got a bug zapper. We have moths like crazy out here. We don't seem to have too many mosquitoes, but figured would get rid of some of these moths. The moths keep getting in, and of course they're, you know, trying to munch all of our clothing and stuff. Figured we fry them. Well, what you see here is a new pump. Unfortunately, this morning our old one bit the dust, and so I had to go and get another one. We had left the, we actually ran our tote out of water a few months back, and it's never quite been the same since. And it was kind of on its last legs, even though it was new, because it was our fault. So anyhow, I finally gave it up, so I'm just going to go back with the same thing. So this time, to prevent that, I'm going to go with one of these as a low pressure cutoff. This is our pressure switch, but this also has basically a cutoff. If it runs out of water, it will also shut it off, so you don't end up blowing up another motor. And I'm also going to put unions on it this time. The old one doesn't have them, so I'm going to have to cut them, put these on, and it makes it easier for taking them on and off. So that's what I'm up to today. It's time to weed. Don't get much light in here, but apparently the ground cover is trying to grow back. Turn off the water. I'm going to go ahead and clip both of those. We'll get that detached. I'll go ahead and put the new motor in. Basically how I have this set up is we just run a real thick power cord, and then run basically cut an extension cord in half that feeds our pump there. And so the extension cord gets so we can unplug and plug it if we need to kill power, and it just power in, power out from the switch there, and then this switch toggles back and forth to turn the pump back and on. So pretty simple setup. Also run our we also run this off of it, which obviously is turned off right now, our hot water heater. And then on the third prong, if we need to, we run a heater in the winter. So. Alright, I'm going to get cracking on this thing. Alright, so I left myself room to reattach one more time there. So I'll get this pulled out and get it prepped for the next one, and then we'll have room to reattach. I am going to put a union on both sides of that, so I'll need to take that off, get everything set up for that. So if you want to make sure you orient your tape the right way so that it doesn't unthread itself. The other nice thing if you can do is just go ahead and poke the finger hole through, and you turn it backwards as you wind it, you'll hold the tape tight, which is nice. Get a nice tight bond of Teflon. And I've got everything assembled, got my unions on, so if we need to separate this, change out a pump or anything like that, that'll be real simple. We'll just turn it there and everything will come apart. So I'm going to go ahead and stick this thing in the pump house, get everything hooked back up. Got my PEX fittings cleaned it back up, some new rings. We'll go crimp them on real quick. Alright, go ahead and tighten that up. Actually, I'll go ahead and plug it in first, make sure that works. Yep, okay. That's all we're gonna do. Time to change out the switch. So, just 2 ends of an extension cord that I cut and threaded this bad boy on there. Teeny bit of water draining out, but obviously, as you can see, there's almost no pressure in the line. It's at 0. Okay, well, let's go ahead and we'll get this other switch wired up. So Dee Dee's out of town this weekend, but she left me this little Cadbury Dairy Milk. Apparently a half of a Red Baron pizza as well. So, we were talking about this last night, and she was saying she was going to pack it with her, and I said, well, maybe there won't be any left. So we were joking around about it, and what a sweetie, she left it for me. Alright, so basically this is a square D style box. Yeah, nice thing about them is this little retaining nut up top stays with the case, so you don't lose it, which is nice. Alright, so basically I'm just going to take the guts that we have, this extension cord that I cut in half, and then we plug in that pump to it. So I'm just going to take everything loose, swap it over, and we'll set it up with this auto shut off if there's low pressure. Go ahead and thread this back on, and I'm not going to bother putting more Teflon on. There's still a lot on there, and it wasn't that tight to begin with, so I'm going to tighten it up a little more. So it should be set to 2040 before I fire it up, since I've changed the setting from a 3050 switch. I need to go ahead and let some pressure out of the tank here. So I'll show you how to do that. It's real simple. So on the top of your pressure tank, you're going to have a little air fitting, and it's just like a bicycle tire chuck. Real simple. See, right now we see it's at 28. And usually set like a couple pounds below where your kick-on pressure is. So with this having a kick-on pressure of 20, we're going to go ahead and let enough air out. We're going to probably set it at 18. Okay, we're almost there. Alright, looks like we're about where I want to be, 18, 19. So I'll put this little nubbin back on. Now, what would happen if this was above the kickoff pressure is you would have a couple seconds there where you drop and lose water pressure. But because it's below, it allows the pump time to kick on and start pumping before it drops and just completely loses pressure as soon as it drops. Basically, that's what happens. You completely lose pressure as soon as it drops below the pressure of the bag in there. So I don't know why I didn't think of this sooner, but an old sled is perfect for laying on the ground when you're tinkering with stuff. I would use this the other day when I was changing the oil in my truck in the gravel, instead of a piece of cardboard, because this is much more comfortable. One of the things that I want to do is go ahead and double check this filter and see if we are plugged up and putting pressure on the system. Because if we are, then I want to go ahead and change that out. Oh, come on. I'm tightening it. Yeah. Definitely. Oh, yummy. I'll pull you outside to look at this one. We are pulling from out of the creek. So this is the sediment filter to keep all the dirt and nasty stuff that doesn't make it through the foot valve up. The foot valve keeps all the chunks out, but this thing keeps everything 5 micron and over out. And look at that. Oh, that's disgusting. I am sure glad we put that filter in there. You can see that it's doing its job. The inner portion, nice and fine and clean where it's coming through. But yucky, look at that. That is disgusting. So I'm glad I checked this out. This may be what contributed to the death of that. So I'll have to make sure and change this really regularly because I don't want to burn up another pump. Boy, I'm glad I checked that. Yucky. Alrighty. Time for a new one. So this is a double O-ring seal, which is nice. Helps to hold the pressure, obviously. Switch on, but we're gonna just hold this to start, and it'll get us going, and we'll get our pressure building. It does help if you turn the water back on too. Hey, look at that. Alright, let's try that again. Alright, so it's operating on its own now. We'll let it build up some pressure. I'll go ahead and tighten that up too. So I'll go ahead and I'll turn that off and we'll tighten things up. Okay, cuts off where it's supposed to. Cool. Alright, let's go check and make sure everything's working inside, get the air purged out of the lines, and then we'll turn back on our hot water. Okay. And some water in here. Oh, there we go. A little bit of air. That should calm down in just a sec. You can audibly hear it change once that air gets worked out. So we should be kicking on pretty quick. It's set to kick on at 20 psi. We'll go ahead and make sure that it does. If it drops to 0, that tells us we didn't set, and then kicks on, that tells us that we didn't set our pressure in the tank correctly. That is a good sound. Pump is running, no leaks. Got it back installed, up and running. Learned a couple lessons, made some adjustments, and so we will be good and hopefully not have to do this again. Well, if I learned one thing from all this, made some mistakes, but if you're afraid and you never try, you won't ever make mistakes, but you won't ever succeed either. So I have a lot of knowledge just from doing this packed away, and it'll be helpful down the road on our goal to being self-sufficient. Certainly is a good feeling to be able to fix something that's broken, do it yourself, and not have to call somebody else. It's a good feeling. Well, I scared a little frog. I don't know if you can see him down in there. Apparently we create our own habitat for frogs around here. Oh, okay. He's just chilling. Oop. There he goes. Look at that thing. It's huge. I don't know that I've ever seen a moth quite that big.